What's up, everybody, and welcome to Flying with Doug. It has been just an insane week of basketball, guys. I have never been this tired watching basketball in my life. Let's kick it off first and foremost. Happy Thanksgiving, Flyer fans. Thank you to everybody who is a Flyer fanatic these last couple days, talking hoops, staying up late, just everything. The spaces after the game, those have all been fun. It's been a crazy 3 days. At work has been a blur for me. I wake up like a zombie, but we made it. The war on Maui has finally come to a close. It was a up and down, a fun 3 days. We learned a lot about Dayton in these 3 days that we did not know before we came into this invitational. So it's going to be fun to talk about, fun to recap. Obviously, we're going to go into the UNC game, Iowa State game, and then finish up with the UConn game. Excellent stuff last night. I cannot wait to talk about the UConn game. That was great way to close feast week for the Flyers. So again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the interactions. I appreciate everything you guys support me with. I know I put a lot of stuff out there. I know I tweet a lot. I'm an emotional roller coaster a lot of times. And I really do appreciate the people that take the time to respond and support me throughout this adventure. Because, it would be pretty boring without the interactions and the support. First thing first, Tyler McGurk. Quick shout, the greatest Flyer podcast in the game. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to my friend Tyler McGurk. He's been a great friend, a great supporter. Don't know if it's the greatest Flyer podcast, but it is a Flyers podcast, and that is first and foremost. So let's get into it, guys. Let's set the table. Game 1, we play the number 12 team in the country, North Carolina. Now, that is a incredible basketball game. First half, you think, is Dayton one of the 10 best teams in the NCAA? I think even after seeing the game, there was a letdown, and we'll get into that. I still think Dayton's one of the best 20 teams in college basketball this season. And you're going to have a hard time proving me wrong. And if you try to prove me wrong, I'm going to disagree with you. Yeah, I was upset blowing that second half lead, up 21 with 17 minutes left. You think that's safe? But you got to realize we're going up against all American caliber guards. You're going up against a great coach team with Hubert Davis. It's going to be a war, and that's why I called it the war on Maui. So let's get into the game a little bit. First things first, I got to say, Zed Key, I think somebody tweeted it out. There may not be a more dramatic man in college basketball right now. Everything he does is a little bit over the top, and I absolutely love it. 10 points against UConn or UNC, only 2 rebounds, but foul trouble kept him limited. He only got to play 20 minutes, and I think that definitely had caused some issues during the game. Enoch Cheeks, he had a good game, but he never got going fully on offense, and I think that kind of in the second half, we needed more of Enoch Cheeks. He ended up with 11 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, a block. Thought he did a solid job on defense. But again, story of the game, that second half defensive effort, it was a night and day difference, unfortunately, in that game between the first half defense that was absolutely suffocating North Carolina. Yes, if we want to talk about it, the foul trouble was insane. It was insane, flat out. It definitely changed the way Dayton had to play, but it didn't. The defensive intensity had to drop to a level that UNC got so comfortable that guys like RJ Davis, who's an All-American caliber player, made 4 threes. He had 10 made free throws, ended up with 30 points. The guy that I was most impressed with on the UNC team was Seth Trimble. He had 27, 10 rebounds. An impressive game from him. He was 2 of 5 from the three-point line, but he attacked the rim hard, and he's a really good defender. So I did want to give him a shout out. I thought he was really good. The person that I think all Flyers fans hate the most, Elliot Kadu, that guy sucks. That guy was so hard to watch play basketball. I hope he doesn't play like that all the time. I don't get to watch a lot of UNC games, but that was so hard to watch the way he played. He ended up with 10 points, 4 fouls, 6 turnovers. So Dayton did a great job on him because he is a good player. Take away all the extracurriculars that he was a part of. I mean, that guy lowered his shoulder all the damn time. It was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Getting into the Dayton part of it, Nate Santos hits that shot in the corner. I'm celebrating. I'm up jumping around in my living room. I'm going crazy. And then Corey Alexander, who I got to tell you guys, Corey Alexander might be the worst commentator in the profession. It is so hard to listen to that guy. It was constant. And it was the same recycled material over and over and over again. And it just made it so difficult to listen in and want to lock into the game. Nate Santos in the corner hits a extremely tough shot, extremely tough. And his foot is on the line. And that was a backbreaker, an absolute backbreaking shot. Or, not shot, but an absolutely backbreaking, changed call. And that, I thought, really took the air out of things. Free throws down the stretch also played a factor. I believe, we missed some clutch free throws when we really needed them, when the game was kind of on the line. If you look back at it, the last stretch of that game, from the minute 52 on, it was 84-82. Dayton was up with 2:12 to go. RJ Davis makes that step back three-pointer, 85-84. Malachi Smith then responds with a massive three of his own. And then Drake Powell gets open in the corner, freshman, a big shot, hits a three. And then this is where the freshmen kind of show their freshman tendencies. Emil Latang is going to be phenomenal for Dayton. We know what he has to work on. It's strength, it's rebounding, it's finishing at the basket, and that foot speed has to increase a little bit. He's got to get a little bit better on his feet. We know that. But he takes that early three with 57 seconds left. He was open. It wasn't a bad look, but I think Dayton probably wants to get maybe some ball movement around the top, swing it around a couple times, and then see if we can get a pick and pop three. He took it. It was an open shot. He clanked it off the backboard. RJ Davis gets the rebound, but then Dayton gets another opportunity. RJ Davis gets an offensive foul. Dayton comes out of the timeout. They get a good look for Nate Santos. That play really, really worked well. Nate Santos got a catch and shoot open three from the corner. Could he have gone to the rim? Probably. But the way Dayton was finishing at the rim, I don't really blame him. And it was a good look. He just missed it. It just happened. He missed the shot that he's going to make a lot. And I know there was a lot of talk about who's our guy in those moments. I think AG has proved that Nate Santos is going to be the first option to take the shot. And I think Nate Santos is very capable of doing it. His defense has not been fantastic in the Maui, but overall, I think he is the guy who's going to take the big shot when Dayton needs it. It further proves, coming out of that timeout, Malachi Smith drives baseline. He throws the bounce pass into the corner for Nate Santos. If Nate Santos doesn't, if his shoe's a little smaller, it's a tie game, and we probably go to overtime with number 12 North Carolina. So while I was disappointed blowing that lead, and the defensive effort overall in the second half was much different. Fouls contributed. A lot of things contributed to that. It was I would give that it was a good effort. It's a solid loss no matter what. I don't want a moral victory. I don't like moral victories. I don't like the sticking your chest out because we lost to number 12 North Carolina. But looking back and reflecting on the Maui, that was a hard-fought game. Dayton, led the game down to the very final minutes. It just, some of the bounces that go their way, a toe on the line changes everything. Okay, we'll regroup. And Dayton is then rewarded, losing to North Carolina, number 12. They are rewarded by playing Iowa State, the number 5 team in the country. Another absolute, just hard-ass game, hard-fought game the entire time. Dayton's up 4 at halftime. And then, again, they played so well in the first half defensively. They were able to keep everybody locked in, keep everybody under check. And then that second half, the effort just drops again. And I know, again, officiating. We can only do so much about it. The fouls were 23-21. Dayton had 2 extra fouls. It wasn't a massive difference. I do think that the turnovers coming out of the half definitely let Iowa State get comfortable. Dayton they were loose with the ball. That first couple possessions just were not good. The finishing around the rim was questionable again. It didn't work. Iowa State had 7 steals. They got 11 points off of turnovers. We only had 7 points off of turnovers. The game was just nip and tuck. And things like that changed the game. So when you look at, Dayton missing some clutch free throws down the stretch again, that it plays a factor. It definitely plays a factor. I thought Enoch Cheeks, was good again. He had some tough threes. Malachi Smith had his best scoring game. He had the 9 assists, but it felt like, and I'm sure Dayton fans will probably feel differently. I'm a little more critical. I'm a little more emotional, but we get this sometimes Jekyll and Hyde type thing out of Malachi Smith, where he is playing absolutely fantastic basketball. I think he got a steal and a layup, or a steal and a dish off for an easy layup. And then next play, he fouls the point guard at the half court line, giving them the points right back. You set them up for 2 easy free throws. I know there's a lot more. I really like the fact that in the UConn game, which we'll talk about, he used a floater. He wasn't trying to get all the way to the rim, because it feels like he struggles finishing at the rim, at the backboard sometimes. So I like that he used the floater a little bit and kind of changed up his game. But it just that there's that little Jekyll and Hyde type vibe sometimes. But overall, again, you cannot be down on Malachi Smith. That is not to say that. He has been fantastic. I am so happy he's back in healthy and playing basketball. It's been so refreshing. But we've got to look at it a little bit subjectively sometimes. Zed Key, 15 points, had a really solid game. Santos, I thought, struggled a bit here, 4 of 13. Kind of couldn't get going when we needed him to. And, I feel like Posh Alexander here regressed a little bit from the North Carolina game. I thought in the North Carolina game, he was attacking. He was going hard to the rim using his physicality. Ended up with 3 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. He had 2 turnovers that were very, very questionable turnovers. And the game just didn't go Dayton's way. I mean, call it what you guys want. The Zed Key flagrant foul really changed the game. And I know Zed Key, has played a lot of basketball. But when you come down that hard with 2 arms, and it's a smaller guard, and he crumbles to the ground like that, he comes up, he's bleeding. It's hard to disagree with the flagrant foul call. I mean, that's the facts. He did get fouled. I totally agree. The center for Iowa State completely dumped him out of the way. That was an offensive foul by the Iowa State center. It got missed, but you can't follow that up by creating a hard foul like that. I thought personally he should have, maybe wrapped him up and not went any further. But, in the heat of the moment, it was a very hard foul. It gets changed to a flagrant. At that point, it was 81-81. Gilbert for Iowa State, who's a really talented player, hits 2 free throws, and then he makes a extremely contested layup. Extremely contested. If you want to talk about it, Posh and Zed really got into it. Those guys they've played 5 years of college basketball. They can figure it out. It's not the end of the world. They're grown men. They're hashing out the defense, because Zed Key was supposed to step up when Gilbert split, and he never stepped up and stopped the drive. And it led to, yes, it was still a contested, difficult layup, but that Keyshawn Gilbert kid is extremely talented, able to finish over. Foul on Curtis Jones. Malley makes 1 of 2. Then down the stretch, 18 seconds left, the Jefferson kid for Iowa State makes 2 free throws. Nate Santos misses the jumper. Bennett layup, and it kind of trickled out to a 5-point lead for Iowa State to close out the game, 89-84. The game was never that big in Iowa State's favor. It was an absolute boxing match. It was back and forth. It was a battle, and it was a hell of a game. I enjoyed that game a lot. Yeah, it sucked to lose, but Iowa State's a really good team. And, you lose to the number 5 team in the country. Yeah, you had to lead at halftime, but this one felt a little bit different. But the same storyline prevailed. first half defense was night and day difference than the second half defense. Fouls could cause a problem, all that kind of stuff. We had major players in foul trouble, but that drop off, that inconsistency showed its head in game one. And in game two, same story. Now we flip the script. We go to game three. And this is where Dayton finally breaks through and gets a big win. You know what? Is North Carolina going to be number 2 this week? No, they're not. But North Carolina is an extremely talented team. They've got guys who are going to play in the NBA. They've got guys who can play at a extremely high level. Yeah, they lost 3 straight, but Dayton was a massive, massive cause for the way they played tonight. First half, Dayton is up 7. Really good half. I'm gonna call it right now. I think Enoch Cheeks is one of the best players that the national media don't talk about. He does everything possible to help you win. Everything possible. He guarded Liam McNeely, the McDonald's All-American in the first half. Yeah, he's dealing with a hip injury. No, if you're out there on the floor and you are playing, it is all fair game. He held him to 0 points in the first half. McNeely ended up 0 of 9, 0 of 4 from 3. And Alex Caravan, that kid's really good. Nate Santos was having a difficult time guarding him. Enoch Cheeks switches on to Caravan, and Caravan was quiet in that second half. That was the massive change in the game for me. Caravan got hot from 3. I think he made 4 in a row, 3 in a row at least. And then late in the first half, into the second half, Cheeks switched on to him, and it completely changed UConn's offense. Caravan could not get free from Cheeks. Another fantastic defensive effort from Enoch Cheeks, who has quickly become one of the fan favorites, or just best player. He's the best player on the team in my opinion. He finished the night with 20 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. He only had 1 steal. I thought that was a little bit off. I could have swore he had more than that. What I like most about Enoch Cheeks is now that he has combined his defense, which is all conference level, his offense, his finishing at the rim, he's great. He has now added in a consistent 3-point jump shot. If you give him an ounce of space, he is going to bury a 3 in your face. And it is beautiful to see, because last year he really struggled from the 3-point line. This year, he is a knockdown shooter. He must have worked his ass off in the offseason to become this good of a shooter in that period of time. Hats off to Enoch Cheeks. Great game. Love watching that guy play. Next guy I'm going to shout out, the guy who I thought really struggled against Iowa State, Posh Alexander. Great game. 16 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, a steal. His defense has been solid throughout. This was a great game. This was what you thought you were getting when Posh Alexander transferred in from the Big East. And he proved it by showing up against a Big East opponent. North Carolina, I thought he had a good game. Iowa State, I thought there was a drop-off. And then he bounces back with the best game as a Flyer against UConn in a huge game. I thought this was telling because, it is what it is. The freshman, Emil Latong, the game looked like it was a little bit much for him. It looked like it was a little bit much for him. The 3-point shot didn't fall. He kind of, the foot speed was an issue against UConn's bigs. I've talked about him. I have raved about him on X. He has upside that is unreal. It's going to take some time. Strength, defense, finishing around the rim. He's going to potentially be an NBA player. I trust AG and the staff to get Emil Latong to the NBA. I just want him to be here long enough to get to that point, because the talent is there. Simon has quickly become a favorite of mine, watching him play. Yeah, it's in short spurts, but he comes in the game and there is no drop-off defensively. He is long, he is athletic, he is a physical defender. He can help you in multiple ways on defense. Yeah, he only played 3 minutes against UConn, but look back at his other 2 games. He was a net positive every time he was on the floor. I know Jacob Connor is going to come back. I know he has experience. I'm excited for Jacob Connor to come back eventually. But there is not a drop-off that large with Simon. Yeah, on offense, Connor moves the ball. He's a better passer. At this point, he's a better shooter. But there's not a drop-off on defense. And Simon, I think, has done a great job proving his worth here in Maui. Isaac Jack, the wild thing. A little confused on his minutes. in the second half against UConn. I thought, he did take the hard spill. He had 3 rebounds in only 7 minutes. He had an assist. He had a good solid pass. Yeah, the hard foul where he got undercut. I thought that was a little bit dirty by Caravan. You don't want that to happen to yourself when you're a basketball player. If you play long enough, you've gotten undercut. You don't want to do that to somebody else. So I didn't understand the way he slid in with his hip and took Jack out. I thought that was a little dirty, so I didn't love that. Musa, 5 minutes. He's got to get better on defense. I thought he had better effort on defense, but it has to improve. And I think, again, giving time to Musa, he has the talent. We're going to see it eventually click, and he's going to be very, very good. Overall, guys, Nate Santos played a much better offensive game in that second half. He really came alive, finished with 18 points, 6 of 7 from the free throw line. Zed Key, great game. 15 points, 9 rebounds. He had a fantastic 2-hand block off the backboard. What I like most about Zed Key is he makes his free throws at an extremely high clip. 9 of 10 last night from the free throw line. Great effort from Zed Key. And then, like I said, Malachi Smith, 9 points. He hit a big 3, only 2 assists. He had the 4 turnovers. A little out of control here and there, but overall, he is the engine of the Dayton Flyers and helped lead the team to a victory in Maui over the UConn Huskies. Defense was throughout the game. It was, Caravan got hot there. We made the switch to put cheeks on him. The consistency of that final game, we talked about it. UNC, second half drop off. Iowa State, second half drop off. If you are a Dayton Flyers fan, you kind of had that inkling, oh man, it's second half time. What's Dayton going to do? There was no drop off in the second half. We finally got the Dayton Flyers to play a complete 40 minutes of basketball. And this is the result. Dayton wins 85-67 over UConn. They held UConn to 41% from the field shooting, 27% from the three-point line. They out-rebounded UConn by 16 rebounds. It was impressive. UConn only had 5 turnovers, so there's not a lot of excuses there. UConn had more fouls than UD, so we can't really say much there. This was if you go off of names and you go off of ratings, I know that, it's been a long time, but, number 12 UNC, number 5 Iowa State, number 2 UConn is one of the hardest stretches of basketball I can remember Dayton's ever played. It was a who's who, an absolute gauntlet. The war on the Maui was highs and lows, the good, the bad, the ugly. But in the end, Dayton finishes the Maui 1-2. They finished in 7th, but they are 25th in Ken Palm, and they've got a lot to look forward to when they get back to the mainland. And let's start off, and we'll do a little bit of a look ahead, and then we'll get out of here. And I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving, obviously. Western Michigan at home on the 3rd. Lehigh at home on the 7th. Then we get the week off. Then we've got Marquette at home, another top 10 team. Dayton will have played, 2 to 3 of the top 10 teams in the country. We could split hairs about other things. Marquette at home, going to be an epic game. UNLV at home, another big game. Then Cincinnati to round out the non-conference. Cincinnati will be a top 15 team at that point. The strength of schedule for Dayton this year has been unreal. This is the best non-conference schedule Dayton's ever played, in my opinion, and this will probably hold up for a while. It's going to be very hard to get to this level of competition in a non-conference again. So, to recap, 1 and 2, highs and lows, great tournament. Going to the Maui is special. It is always going to be special. It's always going to mean something. And I can't wait till Dayton gets to go back. They're going to be back soon because the way the fan base travels. Shout out to everybody who got to go down to Maui and support the team. And you guys were heard. You were loud throughout. You were the loudest fans in the arena at all times. Loaded field. That was a fun 3 days. I am so tired. I am excited to eat today, and I am excited to relax after the fact. Guys, this has been Flying with Doug. Happy Thanksgiving. I appreciate you guys. I really enjoy doing this show. 137 live viewers on Thanksgiving. That means a lot to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, go Flyers. Enjoy your family, and we will see you after the Western Michigan game on the 3rd. Peace.